Duperas y Duperas. Today on Dupe by the River, we are going to look back at what went down at BMO Field this past Saturday in the Philadelphia Union's first loss of the season. As we look ahead at this upcoming Saturday, we're back at home, Subaru Park afternoon game, where we welcome in Club de Foot Montreal. And ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to go anywhere because you do not want to miss this episode of Dupe by the River. And let's get this started, guys. Dale! By the river
doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli. And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Dupe by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. And, of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we dive into today's episode of Dupe by the River, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this live, first off, thank you. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you guys are enjoying the content, that would really do us a huge favor. And, of course, make sure to subscribe to watch all the live Dupe by the River viewings. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts, from Apple, Google, and Spotify. You can find us under PSN Radio, and you can all of your Philly Sports Hour podcasts on there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's just myself and my man, Justin Bald, assistant referee Friedberg, a.k.a. Bar. What's up, Justin? I'm sure you've been going crazy with the U.S. Open Cup, my man.
Oh, absolutely. Those tuning in, we had a couple big MLS upsets yesterday with Detroit City, late goal, taking down Columbus Crew 2-1. And Union Omaha, a League One side, taking down the Chicago Fire in PKs, tying it up in extra time, in stoppage time of extra time. I mean, Open Cup magic is back, baby. It is all kinds of wild, and I am here for it. Let's get at it. US Open Cup is back.
I'm sure Casper had did nothing wrong on that game either.
Well, he came in as a sub towards the end of regulation time to when Chicago's going we might be losing this game, and didn't really do much from what I saw. So Casper being Casper.
Casper, old buddy Casper, the friendly striker. It's been a lot of fun. So when are we up at it with the U.S. Open Cup? Is it we still have another round?
So the Union, the draw is tomorrow. The Union will enter next round. It's regional, so I know Pittsburgh, Riverhounds are no longer in it. I saw Red Bull was up 1-0 on Hartford. And I know DC won, so it'll probably be. There's a chance we could face a MLS side in the next round. We'll find out tomorrow.
All right. Well, make sure you guys stay tuned. We'll keep you guys posted as well what is going on with the U.S. Open Cup. But thank you, as always, to Justin for being our U.S. Open Cup correspondent for sure. But, Justin, speaking of which, with DC United, there's been a lot of news this week when it comes to managers getting sacked, as they say, across the pond. Earlier this week, San Jose Earthquakes. We kind of saw this coming. The writing was on the wall. Mateus Almeida being let go by the Earthquakes after 3 seasons. And, of course, well, not even 3. And, of course, this morning, which was a little bit more of a shocker, not even through his second season, Hernan Lozada gets sacked by DC United out of left field. I guess what I have to ask you, Justin, which one kind of scratches your head more out of the 2 firings?
I definitely say Lozada, and I think, I was saying for this entire season so far, and I've been for a long time in the off season, Almeida was going to get fired. It was a foregone conclusion based on his comments, and yeah, the San Jose ownership has not helped themselves, but Almeida got some signings. I know he keeps saying he didn't get support, and the ownership has fallen through on some promises. Where have I heard that one before? But that one was a foregone conclusion. His system was not working. I think he was I think he was just barely in his 4th season, which even if it's that 3rd or 4th season, either way, I think his name got him a lot of leeway with everything. I think any other coach would have been fired probably by the end of season 2. I think the Losada one was surprising until some of the details started coming out today. And the more the details came out, it paints a very different picture of how things work. The two big things that I took away, the two big moments, was according to some reports, Losada's style and the way he went about things was actually one of the main reasons that Paul Arriola requested a trade. Which
Interesting.
I think a guy like Arriola, who what you're gonna get from him. He's a solid winger. He's gonna give you some explosive over the top moments. But also he's been a few years off of a serious injury, so I think players are willing to put in work, but I think even to a certain point, if you're coming back from injury, you're trying not to push it. And from what I heard, and I think this might have been the tipping point, was for their game against Rochester. I keep wanting to call them Rochester Rhinos, even though they're Rochester NY. I forget FC. I forget how they
Rochester Vardys.
Well, basically, yeah, they're like a league. I think they're a League One side now, but I don't know. It's weird not calling them the Rhinos. But they were. I think they were going up there. And Losada wanted Steve Birnbaum to travel. Birnbaum's injured, coming off of injury, and the front office overrid him and said, no, he's not going. And I think that just goes to show, once again, I say it, I think there are coaches that I just don't think they understand what they're getting into with this league. And it comes with a lot of it comes with a lot of international coaches. Some coaches either don't respect the league or don't understand, kind of innocently don't understand what is involved with an MLS season. And I feel like Losada might have fallen into the latter category just because I understand what he's trying to implement. But you saw it with like Gabriel Heinze. There's stuff in place to make sure that players are protected from things like this. And I'm glad that there's protections in play for the players. So while Losada's style, which the DC conceded goals at a ridiculous pace, and that kind of style of scoring, trying to score more than the other team. Well, obviously that's the name of the game. If you're giving up 3 goals, it's tougher to score 4 goals every game.
Yeah. Yeah, you really bring up some great points. I think when it comes to Matisse Almeida, I think the timing, I thought this would have happened earlier. I didn't even think he would make it past last year, to be quite honest with you, either. But I think a combination of different things. I think Matisse was expecting San Jose to fork up money, kind of how Chivas and River Plate were going to be able to do it.
But they did, though. Like
but to the extent of Chivas and River Plate,
but they spent the league. I mean, the league has parameters, but they spent money and they got players that should have fit the system. So, like, they didn't do it. Obviously, no one can do it to the level of Liga MX. It's one of the main reasons why Liga MX has won every iteration of what is CONCACAF Champions League. But at the same time, like, his system didn't really help itself either.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of what was the downfall for Matisse Almeida. When it comes to Losada, that's a little bit more of a head scratcher, simply because we talked about it last year, even with the RFK refugees last year when we had them on the pod. I really like what he was doing with DC. I thought he was implementing his style, and that takes some time. And he was playing the kids too, and that's something DC wanted to do as well. But what is weird to me, Justin, is DC gave every single chance to Ben Olsen to stay as the manager for DC, and he was there 11 seasons. And then Losada, there was also rumblings as well. He wasn't happy with the front office, and he was making it known. And I think that's part of why he got sacked as well. But the dude has a clear vision. You don't give him the opportunity to go through it. What is going on down there?
I think. Well, I think there's an idea of letting a coach implement his idea. I think Almeida was given a lot of leeway. I think Losada would have. The difference is, if you're gonna butt heads like that with your front office, you are not going to be given a lot of leeway, and especially like the whole burnt, with the Areola thing. Areola was one of the best players. I mean, now you talked about over the seasons. There's been rumors about Julian Gressel leaving. Ola Kamara was talked about being shipped in the offseason.
That's right.
I think there's only so much you can push as a coach with getting patience. And if you're going to push the limits like that, the front office is not going to give you the chance if you're going to be pressing that much. Like,
Right.
you can be abrasive to other teams, to the media, kind of but if you're going to butt heads with the people that are hiring you, they can also fire you.
These are good points. All right, real quick. With Almeida, where does he coach next? Like give me a league. You don't have to give me an exact team.
I think he goes back to Liga MX.
Okay.
It would not surprise me if he fits down. I mean, listen, with the amount of rotation with coaches with Liga MX, I know. I mean, we could, our friends, the Eagle Eye podcast, Club America. Solari's been there. There's been a lot of rumors with him.
Could you imagine?
Oh God, that would be
coaching Chivas in America.
That would be one. That'd be one that we'd have to have them on just to ask them. Just to ask them just prepare for the storm. I'm sure they're aware of it with his time at Chivas, but I think Liga MX seems like the most the most logical. Although with Almeida, who knows? I mean, he was giving a ton of interviews when he was down in Argentina. With coaches like that, he'll pop up somewhere in this side of the world. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, you literally in the offseason, I talked about it on here. He literally gave an interview, ripping the front office up and down, and it's like, it's like, what was it? That movie, was it First Friday? It's like, how'd you get fired on your day off?
How you get fired on your day off, Greg?
That's what he's trying. That's what he was trying to do, and I legitimately, I understand being frustrated at your employers. I think everyone who has a job at times has been frustrated with their bosses, but to go out and publicly blast them, you're not winning yourself any favors.
Not a recipe for success. That is for sure. Well, the good news is, Justin, we don't have to worry about our manager because Jim ain't going nowhere unless Europe comes calling, and that's a different story. But let's get to our match that happened this past Saturday because, Justin, we suffered our first loss of the season. Now a couple matches in, that's not the worst case scenario. And this is a Toronto team that we talked about in the preview. Just feel like they're still trying to find their own way, and this was definitely probably one that got their confidence going. Maybe can turn their season around into becoming an elite team, but we will see. But for this match, let's start off real quick. The lineups definitely did not change at all. It's the same usual 11 that we have seen. But in this match, the Union to start off had a couple opportunities. Obviously, the Jack Elliott would have been a nice little sitter there, but kind of skyrocketed over the net. You had the Ali Bedoya kind of just take a little hack at it with his foot, and Bono was there. But the first goal came in the 34th minute with the big three, as I'm going to call it, with Carranza, Uwa, and Gazdak on the counterattack. And it was just beautiful to see these three moving the ball with the great chemistry that they've already started to build. Mikael Ua crosses it in for Carranza with an easy header, and that got the Union up early 1-0. However, though, Justin, 5 minutes later, Jonathan Osario, my fellow Colombiano, was able to just maneuver. You called it, dude. You called it. He maneuvers around the back line, and he just pretty much just sets it up beautifully for Jesus Jimenez, who just curls it. Not much that Andre Blake can do on that one, and that gets the things all knotted up. And then, of course, in the beginning of the second half, 51st minute, Alejandro Pozuelos, just some bad defending by the Union. Very uncharacteristic, I will say, as well. He gets Pozuelo gets a left foot on the ball, low shot to the left side of the net. Jack Elliott essentially, trying to defend him, and that really was a nice screen for Andre Blake, and that would do it. That was really the difference maker. As Toronto FC, with a little bit of an upset early on in the season, gets the victory 2-1 here against the Union. Now, I want to say, Justin, I am kind of proud of Union Twitter. I didn't see too much outrage. I do think that a lot of people do feel that this team is pretty good. These results are bound to happen in this league. We see it all the freaking time. I'm a little surprised it came a little bit early, but that's completely fine as long as they get this one out of the way. But I just felt like the Union lost this match instead of Toronto FC winning it. What do you think, my man?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think the first goal, there's not much you can do about that. I think it's just a great give and go, and Jimenez just one times it. I mean, that was opens up, curls it. Andre Blake had no shot. The second one, yeah, that's bad defending all around, but mainly between Daniel Gazdag and Jose Martinez, because it freezes it freezes Jack Elliott, so he can't step up, and it gives Pozuelo time to open up and fire on his left foot. But I also think the Union had a lot of chances. It's unfortunate. One, you should have been up a man, because that red card, which Jade Nelson did get a 1-game suspension for disco rule today, that he will serve his 1-game suspension against New York City. Should have been looked at. I mean, there was enough time. They should have looked at it. I still have no idea how that wasn't even considered, considering how high the challenge was. Kai did try to pull away, but it was an unnecessarily high challenge. Yeah. No reason that should have even remotely. He should have been gone. Unfortunately, like I said, fortunately, you have the goal with the big three. I think it was a solid, play. Initially, it kind of looked a little broken, and Gazdag can pass it off to Ua, and Ua looks up, and that was a hell of a cross. I think that's kind of what he was trying. I believe against Columbus or Charlotte or Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like a shass, and he just tried to curl it, and it just barely missed the back post. This one gets right onto Julian Carranza's head, who once again was dangerous all game. And that was when I think Carranza and Ua both had a few more chances. I think at the end of the day, it was just the Unions missing their chances. And
yeah,
like I said, they don't have a ton of possession, but they had way more efficient chances.
Yeah,
and so, it happens, but I think it's one of those, and I think that's why I'm glad to see people not overreacting, because it's not hitting the panic button. It's a wake up call, and Mike's right. Everything that could break the wrong way did. Unfortunately, the chance that you had, and you had a ton of chances, just didn't break your way. And it happens, but listen, the first loss was bound to happen away from home. I'll take it. Like road games are always tough. And the fact that so far, in three road games, you're 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good start for road games in the season. I don't think I can, and the Union be getting better on the road, but again, you were bound to lose. And Toronto is one of those teams that I said they're sneaky dangerous right now. They're not going to blow you away, but they're sneaky dangerous.
Yeah, so this Union had 15 shots, 5 of them were on target. They had some nice opportunities. Even in that second half, they had a couple of nice opportunities. You had the scrum in front of the net where you had Carranza and I'm sorry, it was Ua and Santos pretty much just trying to get the ball, but Bono it essentially found Bono. You had the Jack McGlynn from right outside the box curl that's just sailed a little bit wide. So they had and you had the Mikel Ua who demonstrated yet again the pace that he has getting behind the back line on a breakaway.
Oh,
And
that one was
it's
like
a tough one.
Bono just and it wasn't that like Bono came up with good saves. It was just the rebounds. Yeah, he was making they were just not bouncing your way. Like if one of those bounces your way, you're walking out with a point. It's just
Yeah,
again, it's the the way the cookie crumbles, the way
as
the
they
ball
say.
bounces. It's at the end of the day, you're bound to lose some games. It's and I do love though that MLS power rankings are like,
Everyone
we're not
freaked
saying that
out.
the Union strikers are a problem, but we're also saying that. And it's like they're like on one hand, Ua and Carranza combined, but we want to see more. It's like, man, you're just gonna keep finding reasons to pick on the Union attack, aren't you guys?
Yeah. They'll never show us. Is this does Champions League play a part in those power rankings as well? Because I do realize Seattle's play in the MLS hasn't been entirely
It
in the
hasn't been
result,
that good.
and so is CCL a factor in that as
It
well?
it it has to be there. I mean, LAFC has been playing well. That I can give them, but I do not understand. Like, I mean, Seattle is not. Seattle's been playing pretty poorly, at least
Right.
in the league. I I don't. Yeah, I don't understand what they're in 11th place.
It
Like
has to be that, man. It
like
has to.
your 2 wins, 3 losses in a draw. Like I get it. They they're playing well, but in Champions League,
In
like
Champions League.
I don't understand exactly what you're trying to.
I,
Like,
I I guess it's hard to hate on Seattle, man. They're the wonder child of the league. Constantly been a good team, couple cups. They're just gonna keep giving them the love, and obviously, once we get that cup, they'll treat us the same way, Justin. You all right? So
they still won't. Come on, man, they still won't.
no one
No,
likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care.
yeah, come on. No one here is gonna give 2 shits.
It's
So it is
Justin.
what it is.
What's very interesting is look, you and I both know this team has come a long way since the expansion year, 2010. We are an elite ball club. We are an elite soccer team in this league. And everywhere we go, Justin, there's going to be a big fat target on our back. And I do feel like Toronto, Bob Bradley leading the charge, really wanted to take it to the Philadelphia Union. And that's why every single match you play, it doesn't matter if it's FC Cincinnati or if it's the Seattle Sounders. You got to go in there with the same intensity throughout the whole entire 90 minutes. It was interesting too, Justin, because Mike brings it up. Martinez had an off night. There was a lot of love being thrown to Jose Brujo Martinez leading up to this. Obviously, Jim's been raving about him. The comment of the best number 6 in the league. I saw someone on Twitter throw in an MVP candidate with no goals or assists, which I don't know how you could do that.
I don't think that's ever gonna. Wow, that would be a bold move. I can agree with mostly agree with Jim that I think there's
Who's
no
the best?
reason.
Who's been the best 6 leading up to this season? Would you say Chara still or?
I'd say Diego Chara has consistently been the top number 6 in the league for a number of years, and I think Brujo. I think last year was definitely getting more, real praise, but I think this season he's taking it up another level.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. The goal feels like a great sign of things to come as Gazak, Carranza, Ua starting to build chemistry together.
Yeah, I agree 100% with I listen.
It's been fun, man.
I think you're starting to see more minutes from Uwa. He's gone 65 and 75 in the last two games. I think him getting that consistency, he's getting chances. It is not for a lack of trying.
Right.
He is getting chances. Gazdag is feeding him and Carranza. And Uwa and Carranza are starting to understand how each other play. I said it would take some
That's
time
important.
for that to really build. And listen, to be honest, the first few months of the season really don't mean a whole heck of a lot. But I think this is going to be the time for Uwa, Carranza, and Gazdag to really figure it out. And I think there's plenty of time for it because I've been saying this and I will stick by it. I think the Union trigger the buy clause on the deal that they have with Miami for that cut rate price. I really think there's no reason you shouldn't at this point.
Absolutely, for sure, man. Do you think that going forward, Jim is going to use this system? Because obviously, look, he's been having this rotation with the forwards, and that's great and all. But does this type of stuff work in the playoffs? Like, I don't want to cross. Like, obviously, like I'm thinking basketball. I'm thinking like how Doc Rivers just constantly just puts in like the 10th guy off the bench in the playoffs. Like, do you think that is conducive going forward, like in playoff type situations?
I don't think Jim's gonna like go crazy with the switching up the formations and lives like he did last year. I think last year was a little different because things were kind of stale and you were trying to like get Casper still in a system that he was not set up for. I love Casper. He wasn't a pressing forward, and we forced our way into the Christmas tree. And I think with the amount of strikers you have now, I don't think you need to worry about switching up the formation.
Yeah, I agree. Give me this big three with Carranza, Oa, and Gazdak, and it should be a lot of freaking fun. Please, MLS and FIFA in general, just get the VAR together. All right, like the fact that Nelson was not given a red card, and I don't think that affected this match either. I saw a lot of people saying like that should have been a red card. It would have been a different story. Like, look, it happened. I'm not going to dictate a result of a match off of one call on the play. In the match. I'm sorry, but it is definitely it was definitely a terrible moment for yet again. Samuel, I guess so. We're assuming we don't know how they work the power rankings. We're just assuming.
I don't think it. Well, I don't know. I don't. But it has to be the reason why Seattle's so high. Because
that's the only logical reason.
Yeah, like that is the only logical reason I can think of.
Mike is giving us an update. FC Motown ties up Rochester in the 91st minute.
Wow. What's funny? I have the, and this is kind of my lighting source at the moment. I have MLS Soccer on my second screen. Lighting this beautiful mug.
I thought you were going to say you're betting on U.S. Open Cup. Now that is
no. God, what's funny was that someone I know had a 20-cent bet on a parlay.
You could do 20-cent bets?
I guess.
What
it
the
was a
hell?
parlay for the six MLS clubs to lose. Obviously not going to happen with Red Bull up 2-0, Atlanta up 2-0. But the payout was like something like $1.1 million. Just I think because of the odds are just insurmountably small.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, I'm curious what the odds would have been on that kind of a parlay.
Absolutely. Mike, one last comment here. Rotation up until this point was out of necessity, I think. Feels like the de facto starters are Carranza and Uwa in Jim's eyes. With Burke and Santos will fill in when needed. Kind of feels like hockey lines.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. Listen, Burke having a guy like Santos is, like I said, was going to be better option off the bench. I
Right.
think giving him in, it keeps him fresher, but having him in for 25 minutes to, hound the defense if you're up, or to go grab a goal if you need it. And Corey Burke is going to be a physical guy. You know what you're going to get from him. You know what is coming up. So I think you've got a solid stable of strikers for once.
Absolutely. So the next time, ladies and gentlemen, we face off against Toronto will be at the end of the season, the very last regular season game, the last home regular season match of the season as well.
Maybe we'll see some Lorenzo Insigne.
Ooh, can Lorenzo do it in a cold
on a
Saturday
chilly
night in Chester?
Yeah, can he do it on a chilly night in Chester? Gonzalo Higuain couldn't.
Hey, we know Lorenzo can do it in a cold night in Roma, but can he do it in Chester? That's really the quick question. All right, so Justin, now we move. We talked about the one Canadian team we faced off. We're back with another Canadian team, but this is the rematch against Montreal, the second match of the season against Montreal. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, to give you the perspective of the other side, we got the eyes from Montreal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eve from the Ball is Round Montreal, returning again at DOOP by the River. Eve, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, long time no see, guys.
Absolutely. Justin made his appearance, his debut, his call-up on the Balls Round this upcoming Monday. Justin, how'd it go for you, man?
I thought it went pretty well. I was in the hot seat, and unlike Matias Almeida, I survived.
Well, you weren't like itching to get out of there for I think 3 years, which is a good start.
Justin, you think you get another call-up soon?
Hey, I'm always ready. I'm in the bullpen. Call in the righty as they.
According to my sources, I think there's a possibility.
Sources, bro, trust me. All right, well, Eve, first off, it's always a pleasure seeing you. How's the Balls Round? How they been throughout this season?
Really good, really good. Obviously, it's been super busy between everything going on with the national teams and CF Montreal, and a lot has even changed just with Montreal since we last spoke. So, never a dull moment for us at the Ball is Round.
Absolutely. So it seems as if that Montreal has kind of bounced back since obviously the CCL run they had. Four straight unbeaten right now. Currently sitting in sixth place in the Eastern Conference with Chicago right at their hip with 10 points, 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. What is kind of obviously besides your scheduling freeing up a little bit with CCL off, but what has kind of been the difference over these past 4 matches why you guys have been unbeaten?
So Montreal has finally been able to, after several seasons where Montreal really struggled to put together much offensive firepower, although Montreal's still not putting a lot of chances in the general vicinity of the opposition goal, the chances that they are getting on target are ones they're converting with a way better success rate than in like kind of the past 2 seasons, which is one. As well, in the previous 3 matches where Montreal went undefeated prior to the recent one versus Vancouver, Montreal had managed to come back from being down a goal on several occasions in those matches. Actually, they kind of went back and forth with the teams. So also being able to develop some resiliency, which we kind of saw Montreal lacked a little bit at the end of the last season in particular. And it's kind of one of those things that doesn't necessarily surprise you when you have a really young core in your squad. So those are kind of the big 2 things, are finally getting the shooting boots on target and getting a little bit tougher, a little bit of a stronger spinal column.
Absolutely. The last time we faced off against you guys was on March 5th. I believe it was the second match of the season for both teams. It was a 2-1 victory. It was one where Montreal kind of started off with an early goal not early, but in the first half goal. And then the Union, I think this has happened before as well when it comes to Montreal. I believe last time we were in Montreal last year, the same thing happened. And we were able to come back and win. Luckily, we didn't allow an injury time goal to only walk away with a point, but we wound up getting a victory there. But again, like we mentioned, the scheduling has definitely changed there. Eve, last time we played against you guys, we did not see Romel Kyoto. How's he doing these days? Because we know he's a beast, and we know he can pack a punch too.
Yeah, so
Or ahead.
he's yes, he can give it just as good as he can take it. He's been in really good scoring form. He scored versus Vancouver at the weekend. He scored against New York Red Bulls the previous week. He got off the mark for the first time in the season against Atlanta. So he hadn't scored in a while. Previous, like even in the CCL matches, he did score in one of them. So he's in a good run of form. I'm afraid to tell you, he's getting on the pitch. Although I will say, yeah, actually looked like, as far as the runs he was making and the calls he was making in the Vancouver match, were probably like kind of the least effective that I'd seen from him really this season. I'm inclined to say, like, I always take Big O with a grain of salt, which I'm sure you guys do now too, since you understand what that place is.
Yes.
Yeah. So he looked like he didn't really look 100% on the same page with everybody in the last match, but he still managed to find the back of the net. So
there you go. Justin, you know what I'm curious about? What are the chances that Romelo and Brujo get into it? We know how both of those guys
I'd say, considering the personalities, the odds are greater than 50-50. I mean, I think that's kind of what Jim kind of relies on to kind of break things up, because when it comes to Brujo, he's gonna get under your skin. That's his main job, is to break things up and just to piss people off. Mm-hmm. Listen, and I've talked about it for a long time. That's why I cannot stand Samuel Piet, because he is the same way. Players that know how to get under the other team's skin and mess things up in the final third are very, very crucial. And with Kyoto, honestly, you never know what you get with him. Like, one game, his physical antics might help result in the other team getting a few cards.
Yeah.
And then the next game, it might result in him getting the cards. So
yeah,
it's honestly, I would say it depends on the ref, but sometimes it's just the situation, and I think you'll see that consistent battle. Just even in a little bit, because Brujo really, listen, he's gonna probably target Jordy more often, but I think he'll get his shots in on Romel if he can. I'm sure he'll do what he can, and be a little cheeky. That Brujo that shit-eating grin, as we all know well enough.
He just likes the shithousery. To that point, though, Eve, what I wanted to ask, look, Georgi Mihailovic is having himself a really nice season where the U.S. men's national team have to keep an eye on him. But he's already matched his goal total from last year. He's got 4 goals and 2 assists. Kind of talk about, what is it really that's taken Georgie to, like, what it seems to be the next level of his game this season?
So to start, he's not been playing through injury so far this season. He played through injury through certain periods last season, which I think you can probably identify pretty quickly which matches those were, because he simply wasn't effective. He was still a good player, but he wasn't quite as magic as he can be in a lot of matches. So far, as far as we know, he's been in really good physical condition, which is wonderful. Good news for him as well. I think he's been given even more license to roam and get forward. A goal that he had set for himself at the start of the season was to score more goals than he previously did last year. So he's already there. He's probably gonna succeed. But he is oftentimes now, when he's passing the ball off to a teammate who might be taking a shot, rather than kind of hovering towards the outside of the box-ish, he's making those deeper runs into the box to support the attackers.
We definitely got to keep an eye out for Georgi Mihailovic for sure, because he's definitely been playing really, really well. And for Brujo, hopefully he has a little bit of a bounce back. Pozuelo had a solid match against us this past weekend. Were you surprised, Eve, to see us lose against Toronto? I guess I should ask from the outside.
Surprise. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I understand.
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, I heard you guys kind of talking about it right before I came on. Technically, and MLS agrees that Philadelphia should have been up a man for a large portion of that match. But I gotta say, I did catch a bit of it because it was on kind of a little bit after I'd gotten home from the Montreal game.
TSN, right?
Yeah, TSN, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, and Philly looked a little out of sorts. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Like they were trying, but I felt like they could have stayed out there all night and they wouldn't have scored a goal.
Yeah, the bounces were just not falling. I mean, they had more chances.
Yeah.
Like they had more solid chances. It was just like the bounce, like if Bono made a couple saves on Ua, and like if there was that runner in the box, then you're talking about a tap in. Just the balls were just not bouncing the right way, and it just seemed a little out of sorts. But again, it's definitely it was a wake up call. Like a loss was bound to happen away from home at BMO Field is always a tough place to play.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's not even just Mihailovic I'm more about this week, considering like trying to think of what worked for Toronto. And obviously that's just one match and it's probably not going to be the same type of weaknesses. But when we faced you guys last time, Kone, am I pronouncing it right? Ismail Kone?
Kone, yeah. Kone.
I thought he looked really, really well against us. He had a lot of free runs and he's got some speed and he looks bright for a young kid as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got really nimble feet as well when it comes to a dribble. So he's really good kind of at dribbling his way out of pressure if he needs to. Victor Wanyama, he has that really big physique that allows him to kind of make those turns. But somehow Ismail Kone, he's kind of able almost to backheel the ball to himself and also get his way out of pressure. He did have a quieter few matches. He got called up to the national team, went away with them. And after he came back, I found him really quiet. I found him kind of almost anonymous in the couple of matches, but he was a lot better in the match versus Vancouver. He made way more interesting runs. Admittedly, Vancouver's midfield was kind of all over the place. And he had really good passing success in that particular match as well. But yeah, no, he is exciting. He's really exciting for Montreal and for Canada fans.
Yeah, he did a great job against us. We'll see if he has the same type of success against Philadelphia. But you guys tend to typically struggle here in Philadelphia as well.
It's hit and miss. I mean, last year was a 1-1, and
yes, a Quinn Sullivan. I can forget that goal. Oh, it's a crazy one, Justin.
It was like kind of late in the game, yeah? It was like 80 odd minute.
Wasn't it? If I remember correctly, was that one of the ones that I swore there was a red card?
No,
maybe there. There was that's why the games.
They're all just merging together, Justin. I feel
honestly, that's how my memory is going.
I just can't forget that Quinn. Quinn gets the ball like right outside the box and just absolutely cracks that goal. Looked kind of like Anthony Fontana.
Quinn scored bangers last year, as I told.
Yeah.
He scored. When I was there in Chicago, the bicycle kick, the overhead kick. Just listen, these Union homegrown score bangers. That's the motto. That's the motto is kids score bangers. That's how Philly operates.
Absolutely. Justin, I am a little concerned. Look, I do think I fully have all the confidence that the Union are going to bounce back after what we saw against Toronto. Jim, I don't remember the last time we had back-to-back losses under Jim Curtin, right? And so Montreal style of play does concern me a little bit. Obviously, with Wilfred Nancy and his flexibility with the tactics, how concerned are you against these guys?
Listen, like I said, all the respect to Wilfred Nancy. Last year, I think he quietly established himself as a very solid coach for someone who was given the keys to the kingdom right before the season. Like that was I think he didn't exactly have a lot of time to, pick things up and really get started. But he learned very quickly on how to organize the team, how to, have a very young squad mixed with some veterans. I think he said that the Philly style is of establishing a roster is starting to really creep its way around the league, and I think honestly it's one of the best setups is to have that mix of youth with some veteran talent. And honestly, I think you saw last year if he had Kyoto more on the field, if you had some more depth at striker, I think they might have made the playoffs. I think that was the issue, and I think still even this year, I think it's a concern that all Montreal fans have still is your defense is playing well. It's that scoring. It's one of those, Jordy can't put up a goal or assist every game, and Kyoto is streaky. As good as he's been, he is streaky, and Union fans know all about streaky strikers. So I think, like I said, last year the Union did not really lose back-to-back games. I think the Union know with Jim and the way he's got things set up, know how to shake things off. And as I said, at home, I have a hard time thinking that the Union aren't going to rebound for at minimum a draw.
Yeah, I would agree there. And Mike brings up a good point as well. It's very unlikely that the defense looks as bad. And I really think, like, Glezos was okay, but Ellie had a very uncharacteristic match against Toronto, and I don't think that is going to happen again. And Nate's first start this season came against Montreal, and he had a solid one, and he's been under a lot of guys' radar this season with his play so far. This season's been very reassuring.
I said to Eve, I said on Monday, I said, that was Nate's coming out party, and boy, howdy, has he taken the reins from that game. And at this point, he's already getting articles on MLSsoccer.com, and I've seen tweets just going to threads about and I think it's funny. I think they're making up he's being scouted by this and this, and I'm like, this is like 5 games into a season that he's just like,
that's how it works, Justin.
That's how. Yeah, that's clearly how it works.
I'm sure some of the Montreal young players, once they start playing really well, there's those crazy rumors as well.
I mean, I said Monday, Jordy's already been linked with Leeds if they stay up. Jesse Marsh, I could absolutely see him snagging Jordy midseason.
Wow. That'd be wild. I mean, definitely we have a lot of younger players as well out on loan in the Canadian Premier League. Who are playing interesting minutes. And I think that there are definitely some, obviously Ismail Kone, I think like everyone has woken up to him and his potential, his talent, given that he was playing at the amateur level a year ago. He wasn't even with a pro side. So I'm nervous for several of Montreal's players.
We've been there as well. Like, it's so weird. I always compare it back to Brendan Aronson. Like, he was someone who in preseason 2019 really came out of nowhere and took a starting spot. And he had a great first season and gets sold off, and now he's making goals in Champions League. He's a big part of the U.S. men's national team as well. It's still a little crazy to see. Like, I saw this young kid. He was with the Bethlehem Steel, Justin.
Oh yeah, he was. What was it? The one season he broke his collarbone, getting like just destroyed in a tackle, and you're like, oh, this kid needs to to put on some muscle, and he's got it, but and then within 2 seasons, by 2019, like I said, he steals the starting spot from Marco Fabian, and then 2020, he's just scoring these goals, and you're like, oh shit, this kid's the real deal. And then you're seeing all these kids come in behind you, you're like, oh my god, there's more of them.
Right. Got it.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, his story is obviously, I think, definitely one that Montreal would love to emulate with any one of their homegrown players, for sure, for sure. Obviously, we kind of tried it with Balu Tabla. That really didn't work out. So hopefully, though, live and learn some lessons on the Montreal side. Hopefully, as well, like the young players kind of take it as a cautionary tale as well. And no, I'm definitely going to be really interested to see if there's any rumors related to scouting. Definitely haven't heard anything like super concrete though.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like MLS 2.0, I feel like you guys enjoy that a little bit more. I mean, when you see Drogba, Chelsea legend, putting on the Montreal kit, it's always fun. Like we didn't really have, I guess, Marco Fabian, but no one the stature of Drogba. But this kind of MLS 3.0, where we got these kids that are developing within these clubs or being sold off to Europe, it is really kind of fun to watch. And
so fun.
Yeah. And they come from Brennan comes from a town that Justin lived in before he lived where he lives now, and that's like kind of cool,
it's literally backwoods, just it's where it is nothing but woods, and it's a very, very, very small town. And as soon as he broke through, people who had never watched a minute of soccer were like, Brendan Aronson's from my town, blah, blah, blah. They're like, have you heard of this Brendan Aronson? I'm like, yeah, I have. I'm a fan of the team he plays for. No,
just said hi to his dad.
Listen, we were on Medford. Yeah, you've seen Rusty.
The Aronson fan.
Probably a ShopRite or PJ's somewhere.
Right on Route 70, man. There you go.
Exactly.
We got penalties right now in Rochester as Mike Thomas is giving us the Open Cup.
That's what I love. I love the Open Cup. I flip back to Hartford scored. It's 2-1 Red Bull. Minnesota's up 1-0 on Forward Madison.
I saw a couple of MLS teams got eliminated last night.
Yeah, like I said, Detroit City was a huge one, but Union Omaha over Chicago. That's why we love the Open Cup. That's why we're glad it's back.
He's used to more elite tournaments, the Canadian Cup. It's a little bit different.
It's expanded now. Watch out, there's more than 3 teams in it.
I mean, listen, not everyone can be the Forge and take on Toronto in a 2-year delayed.
Oh my god!
2-year delayed final.
That is like a posthumous final.
Yeah,
like what do you do with the trophy?
Got into CCL, and you're like, but they didn't win it's like,
I know
it made no sense. You're just like, whatever. It's like, what do you do with it now?
Canada Soccer. Canada Soccer, like we didn't know how draws until this year. There wasn't actually a formal draw for the Canadian Championship stuff. They would just flip coins for who played at home and who played away.
There you go.
So this year, and I'm solely taking credit for it because I tweeted incessantly about it. They did a televised draw or live stream draw.
Were there ping pong balls?
There were ping pong balls. Yes.
You swish your hand into
sense
of
and they were like, yes, and they had a Montreal representative and a Toronto representative to ensure fairness.
Were they acting accordingly?
Yes, there was a light banter, but we were there were no fist fights. Yeah, exactly. But actually, it's Vancouver who usually gets eliminated by the CPL teams. It happened 2 years in a row.
Wow. Okay. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the nitty gritty time. It's time for lineups and predictions. Eve, what could the potential starting 11 look like for Montreal?
So Sebastian Breza has not done a good job this year as goalkeeper. Unfortunately, he's every ounce of confidence he had last year, he seems to have turned it into some kind of frenzy and anxiety this year. However, James Pantemis doesn't seem to be able to weasel his way back into the squad. No idea why. Truly nobody in Montreal knows. So I'm going to assume, despite stats and my own 2 eyes telling me that he should not start, Sebastian Breza is going to start in goal. I expect to see the same back three of Kamal Miller, Rudy Camacho, and Joel Waterman. Then Lassi Lapalainen, who is much maligned by myself. I believe I said some unkind things about him last time I visited you guys.
And on Monday, I definitely heard some not some lappy love.
No, I know. I have a lot of feelings. However, oh gosh, here I go. I think the game versus Vancouver was probably his best yet. And I think part of that could be owed to a little bit more fluidity in like a 4-3-3 versus sometimes a 3-4-3, depending on whether or not Montreal was in possession. It seemed to be a lot more fluid for the whole team, and I think Lassie benefited from it. So he doesn't have a defensive bone in his body, but I think he's going to start on that left wing back position, sometimes migrating up to left winger. Then, of course, we're going to have Kone and Wanyama as our pivots, Alistair Johnston on the other side, Georgi Mihailovic. And then up top is going to be a little bit of a who knows, because Romel Kyoto will definitely start, but as to who will be next to Romel Kyoto, I'm not sure. Because Joaquin Torres normally had the spot. However, he was out with concussion protocol the past couple of weeks. So it is a little bit of a question mark. Mako Miljevic could fill in, but really not 100% sure who's going to fill in there.
Okay. Before we get to the Union predictions here, Justin, AK Gaming wants to let us know that we can take Casper back. And he said we scammed him.
Listen, y'all were begging for him. AK Gaming, you were begging for him all last year. You got your wish.
We told you.
No take backsies. That's it. That's it.
There was a warning label on that one, my friend, and unfortunately,
may not score goals consistently. big warning, like the Surgeon General has on cigarette pack.
Oh my gosh, that was when the guys had sent me the draft of the questions that we were going to ask you, Justin. I was like, I already know their answer. I already know his answer about Casper.
Oh yeah. Listen, if you didn't hear myself, you heard Zach go on like, love Casper, but man, he just could not be consistent to save his damn life.
Yeah.
He'll have his moments, but unfortunately, consistency is not something that goes with Casper's game. But yeah, Justin, lineup, of course, probably is going to stay the same, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Jim would switch it up. I think you saw about 70 minutes or so worth of Ulan Carranza. And they had a lot of chances. I think. I mean, they were, Gazdag, Ulan Carranza were all part of the first goal. They both had Ulan Carranza both had several chances after that. I think the team played well. I think, like I said, the lapses that happened on the defensive end, I don't see happening 2 games in a row. So I don't see any reason why you would switch things up.
Absolutely. He doesn't know what to do on 1v1.
He likes to go wide, and then he doesn't realize, he forgets that he doesn't have speed, so he really can't do much.
He gets marooned.
Oh yeah, no, he sweeps wide and then forgets he doesn't have speed, and then the play dies.
Oh,
absolutely. Oh man. All right, let's get to some predictions. Eve, what do you see happening Saturday afternoon, Chester, Pennsylvania, 3 Eastern Standard Time kickoff? What do you see happening?
I think there's going to be a repeat of the result, a 2-1 win for Philly.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
not feeling so confident.
No, Montreal's in good form, but I mean, Philly's, they're really well set up back to front, really strong. Barring any somebody does a really bad injury between now and then, maybe 5 of your players, I don't know, fall over or something like that.
Don't mention COVID, Eve. Don't mention COVID.
Oh God.
No.
We already went through that last year.
Oh God! Oh, that's right. That was right around playoffs. Yes.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh yeah.
I
forgot about that.
We still nearly beat New York City.
I know. It was a lot closer than it
should have been.
Had the right to be. Yeah. No, but I still think a 2-1 win for Philly. Honestly, yeah. And I think Romel Kyoto will indeed find his way to annoy you with a goal.
Will he get a card? Is the real question.
Well, it depends on what color and how soon after the goal he makes for.
Actually been really well behaved since his red
he?
card. Yeah, overall he's been quite well behaved. So I don't know. I would assume the coach had a talk with him because obviously that red card in the first match was ridiculous. So he's actually been super well behaved. I have like for Ramel Kyoto, he's been really well behaved.
We'll see. Simulation. Oh my. Justin, what do you see happening on Saturday?
As I said on Monday, I agree with Eve. I think the scoreline is the same. It's 2-1. 2-1's my usually my go-to scoreline, but in a game like this, I have a hard time not imagining Montreal gets at least one. But I'm gonna stay with with at least part of the prediction that I made on Monday, and that Montreal killer Corey Burke will have the game winner.
Wow,
Montreal, and once
got
again,
a Corey Burke goal.
Be in the nightmares of the Montreal faithful.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe Quinn gets in the match and he gets a nice little cracking goal again, Justin. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Well, guys, it should be a fun one. It's always fun between both of these teams, and I think the real question for Union fans will be: Will the Union make a bounce back after what we saw on Saturday and come back with a dominating match on this upcoming Saturday against Montreal? Eve, seriously, thank you so much. A big thank you to the Balls Round. You guys are fantastic at what you guys are doing up. Again, just plug it in so everyone knows where to find the Ball is Round.
So you can find us on Twitter at TBIR Montreal. We record usually on Sunday evenings. We also go live just like y'all. And we, of course, put our show every week. And if needed, because you never know in Montreal, there may be an emergency broadcast.
That is, we know what that's like. That's for sure. Absolutely. Thanks again to Eve and the Balls Round for hopping on. And thank you guys for checking out DOOP either this week. We'll be back at it again next week to break down this match and look forward to a tough one. We got Nashville, guys, so we'll be looking forward to that for that one as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this episode of DOOP either. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, you can find us on PSN Radio wherever you stream podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Eve from the Balls Round. That is Justin Bald, assistant referee Friedberg. Of course, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we're telling you guys to DOOP on. Talk to you guys.